Well, welcome to our webinar today, guys. We're really excited that you're all here. Like I said before, thank you for taking an hour out of your day. And our goal is to make this the best hour of today. And we're going to share some insights with you. Hopefully these will resonate with you and generate some new ideas and some new thinking for you guys to get better at what you're already good at. And so our topic for today is called Unleashing Your Genius, which I think is it's a lofty goal for us to even talk about this, but we're going to talk about the genius that resides within you and within your team and how to really unleash that to get to the next level in your organization. So I'm joined today by a couple of awesome teachers and presenters. I've got Brady Cook, who's in the Seattle, Washington area. Brady has been doing continuous improvement for many, many years and has been involved in the HVAC industry for a while now too. And then we also have Dale Hedges, who is an amazing consultant out of the Orange County, California area, has been involved with continuous improvement for decades, HVAC for a very long time. These guys are true experts in their field. And they're not only good at the content, but they're good at making the content relatable and applicable for real human beings. So I don't know about you guys, but I've had experiences with consultants where it's like, are you consulting for robots or are you consulting for human beings? Because they're very different. And there's value in information, but without application, it's really, the value's not there. And so these guys are really good at not only giving you knowledge, but helping you understand how that knowledge can impact you and help you improve your business. So we're going to go ahead and roll forward with this. And it looks like we got one other person coming on here, so we'll let them in. So we're going to roll forward with this topic today of unleashing your genius. And we always like to start off these webinars with a handful of questions. And I will say also, we like webinars to be interactive. So we don't want to preach at you the whole time. We want your comments. We want your thoughts. We want you to challenge us and say, no, that's BS, you're wrong. I thrive on that kind of stuff, guys. So please bring it. But we love your interaction. So let's start off with a question here, which is, do you have more problems than you can solve yourself? Does your shop have more problems? Now, I know none of us have problems, but maybe we've heard of other shops that have problems. So does your shop have more problems than you can solve yourself?
Absolutely. We see all the time. I mean, we're just super busy right now, and there's problems all over the place. So yeah, one person can't even make a dent.
Yeah, and I think we're all feeling that to a certain extent, coming out of COVID and having no work and then having all the work and having no crew and then hiring and cross training and all the different things that are going on right now. There's a lot that's being asked of all of us, especially as leaders. So I definitely feel that, Nick. Anyone else? Anyone want to second what Nick said?
I'll second it.
Okay. Robin and Bob are going to say.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. How about this one, Brady? You want to take the next one? How about this next one here?
Sure. Do you have recurring problems in your shop? So is there something that happens or a defect that occurs regularly, time and time again, that takes value out of the process you guys are working on?
What do you think, Joe?
Yes. It's tough to pinpoint what it is, and it's different from plant to plant. But yeah, things happen every day, every week, every month. Tough to stop.
Yeah. So it's those recurring problems or those issues that happen every day that if we leave them unfixed, it just sucks the life out of the joy out of the process of getting the work done. So those are things we need to look at and try to nip those problems that happen over and over again so we can move on to bigger and better things.
All right.
And Dale, we got one more question for you.
Yeah, where do you place the blame when things go wrong?
To blame Joe, but
Good old Joe.
It's tough. You can blame people, you can blame things. If it's not a very good culture, a lot of blaming across departments happens, across shifts. I mean, there's a lot of blame that can happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of blame that can go around. And and I like to say that when you're pointing at somebody, you got three fingers pointing back at you too. So
I like
a
that.
lot of times you got to be a lot more self-reflective when you're facing the problems, right? So yeah. Well, we're going to get into where we should be putting our pointing at the blame. So we'll get into that for sure.
All right. Anyone else want to chip in on this one?
I think for us during this extremely busy time, there's nowhere to put the blame. There's just more than you can get done. The lack of labor and it's not just myself, but from what I hear my competitors as well. You just can't do it fast enough, well enough, economically feasible enough. And it's just a hard time to do business.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Dave. I don't know if you guys can see me on camera. I think I clicked the wrong button, so I'll try to get that going, but.
Yeah, we can hear you, Dave, but it looks like your video is frozen.
Okay. I'll try and.
Glad you're with us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was just going to add with the blame things. It's just for right now with how busy we are, it's important that we don't focus on blame. Obviously, there's a lot going on and we just try to avoid that at all costs. And it's not going to do us any good to finger point or do whatnot. It's just to focus on what we can do to do better the next day and try to stay away from that as much as we can.
Yeah. Great insight there. All right, so we've got some good feedback. Thank you for your openness and honesty, everybody. And let's get into this. Let's talk about how we level up. How do we unleash our genius? And where does that genius lie? Because we're all good at what we do. How do we get better? How do we engage our people and get better at what we're already good at? And like Robin said, there's too much blame to go around. How do we reduce that, right? How do we get on top of some of these problems? We're going to talk about that today. And Brady's going to kick us off with just some interesting insights from our last webinar. So Brady, take it away.
Yeah, so over the past couple of webinars, we've actually discussed the 8 deadly sins of waste. And the number one waste and the most atrocious is unused employee potential. So we pay our people that they're at work to do a job, but we have access to their brain as well. So there's an old lean story, kind of a fable, but there was an exit interview when a man retired and they said, what was your biggest regret? What was the thing you wish we would have done differently? And he said, for years, you paid me for my hands and you could have had access to my brain as well. My brain is capable of solving the problems. It's capable of identifying the problems. And if you would just empower me, give me some freedom and some time to experiment, figure out ways to fix the things that bug me every single day, I could have made the process and the whole workplace efficiencies improve. So we can't be afraid of our experiments failing. We need to be courageous enough to actually try things. And if they don't work, we learn something that didn't work, but we also may have found something in that failure that helps us in our future successes. So being courageous enough to fail and ask for input from other people is one of the biggest things that we can do to help our employees solve their problems and improve the overall process that our company is going through. Do you guys have any input or any thoughts on that? Or
yeah, I think sometimes when you get busy, just to piggyback a little bit on that, sometimes when we get busy, that's when we forget to ask our people the most. We kind of get in this mindset of just put your head down and work. We've got to get this work done. We've got to get this work done. We stop hearing those continuous improvement ideas, or we stop hearing that creativity or how we can do something better because we really just want to get the work out the door. So it's yeah. Just put your head down and work. And I think that's a bad habit that we all kind of fall into the busier we get and stop being strategic.
Yeah. So at a previous job, the first 20-25 minutes of the day was dedicated, everybody had a chore. So you had to go clean up and, take care of your responsibilities. But you also had 15 to 20 minutes every single morning to focus on something that was bothering you and actually fixing it. So every day you go to work, your job actually gets easier and easier. So regardless of how busy we were or the workload or what was going on, we always dedicated that time to making sure that we could focus on improving, and ultimately, your efficiencies go up and up and up, and the problems go down, and things become a lot simpler.
I like that where you say focus on something that's bothering you, because improvements are really, how do you make it easier? How do you make it faster? How do you make it safer? What things are getting in your way every day? So, because people, you can say, oh, let's lean this process out, or let's make some continuous improvement. And then naturally people connect that to a lot of work. But if you say, let's focus on your problems and take the first 10 or 15 minutes of your shift and fix one problem that you won't have tomorrow, that's a good way to sell it.
Yeah. And it also, asking that question, like what bugs you, it makes the employee or the person doing the job feel valued and, cherished almost, to the point where it's like, what is making your day suck? And what can we do to make it better, so you're not struggling with these stupid problems that keep happening every single day?
What would you, so just curious, so on this unused potential, I think that's, like you said, it's the hidden gem of lean manufacturing. It's that's how you build that engagement and that depth, good culture. What would you have for suggestions for managers or supervisors to be better at that? Because like right now, it's like we're fighting against everything just to get done what we got to get done. How do you still focus on utilizing talent as a manager or supervisor?
A big one for me, and Graham and Dale can feel free to chime in, but it's taking the time to be with the people that are doing the work. And when you're actually there asking them, what is the problem? How can I help you fix it? It makes them feel valued, because their supervisor, their manager is taking time out of their day to actually be on the shop floor, ask them the questions, and actually be involved in coming up with a solution. So Graham and Dale, do you have any input?
Yeah, I would just add to that and say, it's easy when you get busy, it's easy to say we don't have time to do lean, but in reality, you don't have time not to do lean. And if you are doing lean and continuous improvement properly, it should be a net positive for you, right? You should be getting more time out of it than you're putting into it. It should be opening up time for you. So if you're busy and you're saying, we just don't have time to do this, really, you can't afford not to do it, because if you don't have time now, how are you ever going to have time in the future? So some of this involves a bit of a leap of faith on the part of leadership, and saying like to Brady's story, we're going to give you 10 minutes to solve something, but we're going to expect that we're going to get something out of those 10 minutes. And you don't necessarily communicate that part, but as a leader that if you've equipped your people to do continuous improvement well, that they're going to take those 10 minutes and make 15 back, right? And you're going to get 5 minutes on the day. And you string a month or a year of those together, and suddenly you're not as under the gun anymore, because you've made these improvements, you've made their jobs better. And not only do you gain all this time back, you've got a workforce full of people who feel like Superman because they made their job better, and they feel valued and cherished, kind of like what Brady said, because they've been empowered to make those changes. And so oftentimes it does require a bit of a leap of faith. And as a leader, you have to get in there with them. You don't just dictate, okay, you go do this, I'm not going to do this, but you get in there, you lead the way by your example. And that it's a leap of faith. But when you do that, you should gain back more time than you're investing, and you use those gains as an investment to continue doing what you're doing. And before you know it, you will have gained back huge amounts of time and energy and effort, all while boosting morale.
Yep.
Yeah, and Nick, I would just add to all of that wonderful stuff is don't try to eat the elephant all at once, right? Just if you haven't started continuous improvement, just pick a spot, pick an operation, pick a spot, and just start asking the people, what's bugging you about this process, right? And that kind of develops a process. And of course, the leadership's going to have to come back, on a daily, weekly basis to say, what's new, what other things are bugging you. and then committing to work through that. But it's hard to start because you're having to prioritize this over what you think is the priority, what we call the tyranny of the urgent. And so you've got to make some time to do that. And I think you guys are doing that. So I don't think that's an issue for you. So.
Yeah, nope, I agree. I think, what I heard there too from you guys was just making it a routine and a priority to be out there every day and be present and allow that open communication from you and your, people frontline, people out there performing the tasks and ask questions. So and we do a lot of continuous improvement. We got a lot of projects going on constantly, but I think what I'm going to try to take away from this specific session today is, hey, we got to work really hard with our frontline leaders to be present and asking what's getting in the way, and then doing that every single day and fixing some of that stuff. You can't fix it all at once. It's never all going to be gone. Even if you fix everything, it always keeps resurfacing. So just that daily routine is how you can cut it down and keep it down.
Yeah. Little steps make big improvements.
Yeah. And Nick, you're working like 3 slides ahead of us, man. So let's pick it up here.
Go ahead, Bob.
Just wanted to add quickly for Nick that, we've been doing this for 30 some years and we're building ductwork and focused on continuous improvement for the last 12 or 13. But the one thing that I saw the greatest impact on is when our managers got to the understanding that it's not about them, that it's not the manager's job to do the continuous improvement. It's the manager's job to encourage the frontline workers to do the continuous improvement, give them the space to do that and let them know that they value their opinion and they want the frontline workers to be the ones that are using their brain, not just their hands. So I encourage you, don't go out there and say, I'm here to fix your problems. It's them. You need to be that coach and that encourager, because they'll come up with amazing improvements that might just save a minute a day, but they'll save a minute every day in the future because of that one improvement they made. And after your team makes several thousand improvements that save a minute every day for every day in the future, that's a huge savings. And it really gives them the understanding. It creates a culture where your people believe that the managers care about them and value them. It's the pats on the back, it's the attaboys that really go a long way and help your team come together in a cohesive nature that fosters continuous improvement.
Yeah, that's huge. I like that approach with like the management, is just to say, hey, it's not really your job to do this. It's your job to support it and coach these other people to learn how to do it. That's a really good, because like it's and I see it all the time. It's okay. Yep. We're going to get together, the frontline leaders. We're going to say, all right, we need to do this. And then right away they think, okay, I need to fix this. But really, in order to accomplish it, it's, I need you to work with these people, and the frontline employees are the ones that are actually going to fix it. So you don't actually you don't have to physically do it. You need to be present and help, really there to support it. So that's brilliant. I appreciate that. That's good advice.
If they can totally do it on their own, that's even better. I think of one example in our office. It was an office person that did this, customer service rep that every day is handling multiple packages of paperwork for customers on individual orders, where they had multiple sheets of paper that they would staple together and put in the basket. And this one individual grabbed his stapler one day and went to staple the package together and tossed it in the basket. And he did that like 3 times before he realized his stapler was out of staples. So he's got 3 packages sitting in his tray, aren't stapled together, that are now not separated any longer. And he had to pull those back out and separate them. into their proper packages, refill his stapler, and then staple those 3 packages together and then continue with his work. But he probably wasted 5 minutes of time in doing that. So he said, that bugs me. What can I do to fix this issue? And he looked at the process and realized that when he took a new strip of staples, before he put it in his stapler, he grabbed a black Sharpie pen and he colored the last 3 staples black and then stuck it in. So visually now, as he was stapling his packages, if he noticed he had a black staple that just went in a package, he knew he was either out or almost out of staples. So he was able to refill his stapler in a organized fashion and not waste all that time. Brilliant, simple little solution that he did 100% on his own because he was thinking, there's something that bugs me, how do I fix it? And we gave him the space to take the time to make that correction.
That's such a killer example, Bob, and just a great example
Awesome.
of an employee who's engaged, right? So you've got more than the hands there, right? You've got the head and you've got the heart too. They care and they're thinking critically about how they can make their work better. So you're getting the wholeness of the person. You've got an engaged employee, and it's incredible what fully engaged people can come up with. The most elegant, brilliant solutions. They're free, saves tons of time. It's great example. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you all for the great insights. Good stuff. Dale, you ready to go on to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So now I'm kind of feeling like I'm preaching to the choir here, because we're talking about a mindset. And traditionally, management leadership tends to want to look at the individual doing the process as the cause of all the problems that they see in the operation. But we have experienced a reverse of that. And it's best said by Dr. Deming. If you're not familiar, he's an engineer, professor, author, management consultant. He's famous for creating the statistical process control method, as well as what we call PDCA. This is the gentleman that back in the 40s and 50s put this all together. And so he's famous for saying that 85% of the reasons why we have problems and deficiencies is because of our systems and our processes. And I love what he says, change the process, quit badgering the individual, right? And so that's the mindset that we must have for making sure that we're going to make a difference in the process. We can badger the individual, but we're going to just see very minuscule improvement. Change the process, you might be changing the whole company. So what do you guys think about what Deming is saying here? What's your thoughts? Do you even see this as realistic? 85% of the problems are systems and processes.
I will say that coming into, I visit a lot of companies as an outsider, and coming in as an outsider, I definitely see bad processes way more than I see bad people. Most people, they come to work, they're motivated for their own reasons, but they come to work because they want to do a good job. Most people genuinely want to do a good job. They don't want to come in and sabotage. That those people are extremely rare, and you can see them coming a mile away because they're crazy. But for the most part, people want to come in, they want to do a good job, but when they're not set up to do a good job, the opposite is true, and they're set up for failure. And so coming in as an outsider to a lot of companies, I see that all the time.
Yeah, I'll just add to that real quick. I'm currently working with a couple of clients. They're outside of the HVAC industry, and I have to redirect them almost constantly because the first thing they want to say is, well, that person isn't doing the process right. Because that's the way they have been taught. And so it's very common for leaders to just say, hey, we've got a process. The team members are just not following it, or they're following it incorrectly. And then when we start digging into it, we find out that actually the process is causing problems. And people are just struggling to get through the process. But I'm kind of curious, is this something that you guys have seen in your own shops?
I think we're guilty of it. So many of our managers have been here a long time, and it's the way we've always done it mentality. And not to say that we haven't been successful with that through the years, but I saw a demonstration at a conference most recently, and the guys held up a vinyl album, and then he held up the cassette tape, and now we're streaming our music. And he said, we don't reach today's generation with the old classic vinyl album. We got to be able to stream. And I think a lot of that's true in providing our products to our customers. The old vinyl record don't get it anymore. We've got to use whatever works for this need and this time.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Robin, for that. And again, I think that's a great example of, just how things move forward. And if we don't move forward, we're going to be left behind, right? So,
I agree. Just talking about processes, you think about it, it's like the majority of all the work that somebody does is based on how they're doing it. So really, I'm sure 85%, because really the only time that an employee would potentially perform badly would be if he didn't care, wasn't engaged, and just, didn't want to be there. Otherwise, the steps he's doing, like, okay, why is this department slowing down? Why is there a bottleneck here? And maybe it's because we're staging parts too far away, and there's a lot of wasted time walking to go get them. It doesn't have to be like, I think everyone ties a process to like some written document, but really a process is just how we're doing every single task that we do. So there's all these like ways of doing it that can be improved and make better efficiency, but we just have to try different things and change different things. And the process is because unless it's an employee that's struggling and just is not connected, it's not going to be the employee's fault. It's going to be how we're physically doing something. So I'd agree with that for sure.
Yeah, and Nick, you're hitting on a topic that actually I'll be covering a little bit later. How disengaged team members can be, and how do we reverse that, right? So,
Bob's got a question or a comment.
Oh, sure.
Just a quick comment, on Deming's statement here, the deficiencies in systems and processes. I think that the processes are the things that the individual frontline workers can improve significantly by the management encouraging them to do that and giving them the time and space to do it. The systems, however, though, I think are the hardware of what we provide our employees. The systems are the pieces of equipment, are the software systems that we provide. And that's something that I think as managers, owners, presidents, executives, we need to improve the systems for our employees so that they can improve the processes. And one quick example for us is we used to have, from the beginning of time, 3 different software systems, one to estimate the ductwork, one to produce the ductwork, and another software system to do the accounting for the ductwork. And it created massive inefficiencies for our team. So as the leadership of the company, we took the daunting task of creating one system that could do the whole thing, so that our team members only had to input the data once and it would process through the entire system for them. But I think that's an example of where, as managers, it's our job to do the work, not necessarily the job of our frontline workers to do it.
I think it's a great point. And you hit on probably the most important point of all of this is that engaging everybody in continuous improvement means everybody. So, we kind of tend to look at how do we get people out on the shop floor more engaged, and we need to do that. But to Bob's point, we as leadership and owners and executives, we also need to take that on, right? How do we make the tools that we give our team better? Again, continuous improvement in all aspects of the company. So it's a great point. Thanks, Bob. All right. So if you're not sure what to look for, if you are looking for a process problem, here are the top 3 clues, if you will, of what you can be looking for to see if it's a process problem and not a people problem. And the very top one is missing due dates. And we're not talking about a situation where there's a catastrophic shutdown of some type, and I can come up with all sorts of examples of plasma tables, coil lines, spiral machines, breaking down, and you got to wait for a part for 2 weeks. That's catastrophic. But rather, I'm talking about just the everyday thing where everything's working well, but it's such a struggle to get the product on the truck on time. That's a big clue that you've got a process problem, not a people problem. And you may, because of the poor process, you may have a people problem because they're just so frustrated with the process that they're not working to make the problem go away. They're just dealing with it. I can't tell you how many times I've experienced where people have put Band-Aids on a problem with a machine or something and just let it sit there forever until it becomes catastrophic, because leadership isn't listening, because they're saying, hey, this is broken, but nobody's taking action on that. The next one is excessive non-value activity. Now, this one might be kind of hard to recognize if you're just watching it, and unless you've got your 8 waste goggles on and looking at the process. But when you're observing an operation, have you ever seen lots of activity, sweats flying, and people are working really hard, but the output is minimal or uneven, stop and go type of a thing? When you start seeing those types of situations, those are signs that your process is weighed down with non-value adding activities. And the third one is consistently long hours for team members. This probably is a symptom of the other 2 items, but specifically the non-value adding activity. And you can measure that, right? Overtime is easy to measure, but if it's unexpected and you just seem to be having to call overtime to get things done because it's, it exceeds the amount of time that you plan to do the job, then again, another clear indicator that there must be a process problem that needs to be fixed. But these are the top 3. There's more. In fact, the list that I reviewed had 7. But is there anything other than these 3 that you guys can think about that would show that the process needs to be fixed?
You would wonder if the problem process is in the scheduling.
Scheduling.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's almost unable to accomplish it.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to what Bob was talking about with the systems, with the tool of our scheduling is there's a problem during that process. Yeah, that's a great one, Robin.
I would say employee morale and turnover could be a sign of a broken process and not
Beautiful.
related to the people.
Beautiful. Yeah. that is a clear sign that, you know, frustration levels are high. That can probably be directly correlated to a poor process. Yeah.
And I would say that that is where most managers get the blame game wrong, is they see low morale and they say, well, why are these people so upset? Obviously they're the problem. Well, no, you as a manager can control their experience by making their processes better. If you are giving them crappy processes or no process and expecting them to get work done, don't expect they're going to be happy about it. Not only do they have to do the work, they have to figure it out, right? So if you can set your team up for success as a leader by giving them a good process, and all of a sudden, poof, that issue's gone. And then you get people engaging and everything that comes along with that. But I think you were right on the money there. That was Nick, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, right on.
No. Any other insights that you guys see? All right. So in summary, we want to focus on the process, not the people as the problem. And Brady has some insight on what we can do to work on the process.
So the question you got to ask yourself is, where is the genius then? You know, the people actually doing the work are the experts. And a lot of times, you know, people are like, oh, I've climbed the corporate ladder. I'm a manager. I'm an executive. Of course, I know everything that's going on. I'm the expert. I've done this for years. Why wouldn't I know exactly how things are supposed to be? But the truth of it is that the people actually doing the work, you know, running the spiral machine, running the coil line machine, hammering together the ductwork, they're the expert. They're intimately familiar with the nuances of the machinery, how things have to be built. They're doing this day in and day out, and they are the experts. So you have to ask your experts what actually bugs them about their job. What's bad about the process? What's wrong with the machine that we can fix? What struggles do you face daily? And then we have to actually empower them to fix those problems, whether it's, you know, a new part for the machinery, you know, pulling in some other people to collaborate and figure out how to solve the problem, or just giving them 10 or 15 minutes to tinker to figure out how to change something or improve the process or the flow. But the people actually doing the work are where you're going to get the biggest gains. They're the experts, and they're the ones who have to deal with the struggles of the process day in and day out, and they're going to be the ones that come up with the best solutions for you. But the key, I think, is it's not to tell your people you have to do lean. You have to do lean. Here's our 10-minute lean process, like part of the day, just fix something. Because that doesn't work. It's just a manager telling somebody they have to do something. But if you get them engaged and you actually ask them what bugs them, what would make their job better? How can we help you with the problems you're having? That's when they really get engaged. And that is when you get the best solutions. So, wondering if you guys had any thoughts or questions or.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I think it's.
This is Joe.
Oh, Joe.
So I just think a part of it is just willing to let go and give them, empower them to, you know, have that responsibility and to figure out that problem and unleash their genius, as we've been talking about. You know, so as a manager, executive, whatever you are, you have to kind of hand the keys over to them a little bit. It might be uncomfortable at first and a little bit of a learning process on both ends of it. But at the end, it's gonna move the needle for everybody in the company.
Yeah, I just need to comment, Joe. I think that's great insight, because if you're in leadership, you've probably grown into that position because you had the answers, you got things done, and you fixed problems. And now with this mindset, we're saying, turn that back over to the people that are under your influence and let them, I love your term, take the keys and let them be in charge of their growth. And it's so powerful when you do that. So Thanks for that. All right. I can tell by the slide, it's my turn.
Dale, I'd like to just add
Oh,
one.
yeah,
comment
sure, Bob.
Real quick, for the managers. I think it's our job as managers to listen as we're talking to the frontline workers and asking them what's bugging them. You're going to hear things that bug them that they can't fix. And those are the things that it's important for us as managers to listen to and do what's within our power to fix. A simple example, you might have employees saying it's too dark in my work area. You know, what can we do to give them more light? That's our job. You know, the walls may be just plain concrete and dusty. It might be a benefit for us to go in and wash them down and paint the interior of the workspace white so that there's more light in there. But there's things like that that as managers we have to do, and it's bugging the employee, but they don't have the power to fix it.
Excellent. Yeah, great point. And what better way to show support to our team members than to say, hey, I'll get on that and we'll get the lights set up and we'll put a spotlight in your work area, whatever it is, right? And all based upon their needs. So very good point. Thanks, Bob. So I want to talk about another situation we all have. And I want to go back to 2019, pre-COVID. It was estimated that there was 158 million people employed in the US. And Forbes in the same year came out with an article reviewing a survey, a HR survey nationwide, over 10,000 employees interviewed. And the results were surprising, at least to the writer of the article. And as you can see here, the main thing that came out of it was that over 50% of workers were unhappy with the job that they have. And here's some of the things that they talked about in the survey. The more unhappy they were in their job, the higher the dissatisfaction they had with their quality of life outside of work. So obviously there is a connection between what we do for work to how we live outside of work. And that, you know, the idea that over 79 million people are dissatisfied, not only with their work, but just don't think they have a good quality of life. And they also reported that while pay was improving, that the quality of their job was not. It was either staying the same or declining in many cases. And that obviously contributes to being unhappy. Workers were reporting that they held the report, the people who had a good job reported that the opportunity to be creative, learning new skills, and being encouraged to do their best work made their job more enjoyable. And then as a summary, the article warned leadership that employees who feel uninspired and left out will not be very productive and not likely to seek a new job elsewhere, which I found pretty interesting. But what they're saying is that employees who are dissatisfied are also unmotivated to go find a new job, means that they continue to be unproductive in the jobs that they're in. So what do we as leaders do? And I believe there is solutions to this. We've been kind of leading up to this in this whole presentation, and that is, instead of just employing their hands, let's employ their head and heart as well. And so if people are feeling uninspired and left out, it's because they're not being asked to think about what they do and improve what they do. And so we want to engage the whole person not just their hands. I like to use the term, not just pushing the button every day. Let's stop pushing the button for a while and let's look at how we can improve the process. And so as we go through this, we're building what we call the continuous improvement culture. And I got to tell you, in the 20, 30 years that I've been doing this, the continuous improvement culture has the best model for engaging the whole person in what they do, not just pushing the button every day. So, the next question is how can we start in this direction? And I think the best example of how to get started is found with Bob Chapman. He is the CEO and chairman of Berry Waymiller. And Berry Waymiller, if you don't know, is a conglomerate manufacturing organization. They have just all sorts of manufacturing plants, manufacturing all sorts of products all over the country. But Bob discovered the truth that he needed to do more than just ask his people to give him their hands. And so he went on this journey of creating and transforming the company to what he calls a people-centric culture. He's got great videos out on YouTube, just look him up. But he realized that as we talked about, and Brady actually talked about the story about the man that left in his exit interview. Well, Bob experienced that firsthand, where after using continuous improvement to get people engaged, people were starting to thrive, not just at work, but also outside in their homes and in their personal lives. And so he settled on continuous improvement because it supported the 4 tenets of the culture that he wanted to create. And as you can see here, his focus is on allowing people to discover their gifts, develop their gifts, share their gifts, and most importantly, to be recognized and appreciated to do so. And once they started this and started to see the benefit, he's never turned back on it. Instead, he's become a very vocal advocate for people-centric leadership. He's written a book about it even, but he believes that this has transformed his company. And, and so as we go forward, the question becomes, why do we need to make a change? Why do we need to make a change now? And Graham, why don't you talk about that?
All right. So thank you, Dale, and thank you, Brady, for all that great information. And thank you to all of you for your great input. I love spending this time together. It's been a power hour for me already, been a power 51 minutes. But I want to wrap up with this idea right here is why change? So we're all good at what we do. We're all successful. We're all busy. We've got happy customers mostly. And so we're successful. And so when we talk about changing the way that we interact with our team, we first need to ask why. Because if you don't understand your motivation, then like Dale alluded to earlier, the tyranny of the urgent, something more important is going to take over your time and your mind space, and this is going to get shelved again. And when you do that, you are saying, I'm shelving my people. I'm shelving the care of my people and giving them better opportunity and helping them engage and feel like their job's worthwhile and they're making a difference. I'm going to shelf all that for something else that's demanding my attention. So I think it's really important that we talk about motivation. And when I talk about motivation, I like to get it, everything comes back to this one question right here for me. What's in it for me? And I think this is a question that a lot of us feel guilty about even asking this question, especially if you're a person of faith and you're not supposed to think this way. We often feel guilty when confronted with this question, but the truth is this question motivates us and our people. We are all motivated by our own needs. And so it's not wrong to ask, what's my need or what's in it for me? In fact, if we can understand what that is, we can be more effective in implementing change and getting the organization to change. Because when we talk about engaging our people in new and meaningful ways, we're talking about asking them to do something different from what they've done for the last 10, 20 years. And they're going to see a different leader maybe from what they've seen over the last 10, 20 years, whatever it may be. So what's in it for me? If you're the boss, here's what's in it for you. If you choose to go down this path, you're going to have a more engaged team. You're going to actually solve your problems. So remember in the beginning, we asked, do you have recurring problems? You can actually get to those elegant, good solutions by engaging your people who have a better read on the problem than you do as a manager in an office. Okay, so if you're the boss, your team's going to be more engaged. Your team's going to come up with better solutions. Your people are going to have better morale and be more bought into what you're doing. And you're going to have increased productivity. So if you're the boss, that's what's in it for you if you go down this path. If you're the employee on the shop floor, what's in it for you? You get a greater sense of ownership, right? They have some purchase into what's going on in the shop, and they have that sense of belonging. Like, I'm not only here to just do the work, but I feel like I matter. I feel like I'm making a difference, and I belong to something that's bigger than myself. And I will tell you, there's been lots of studies that show that in manufacturing attracts the kind of person who wants to be a part of a team and wants to be part of something bigger. So if you can offer that to them, boy, that motivates people to really engage. What's in it for the customer? They have fewer issues reaching them, right? Less problems for the customer, less callbacks. They're dealing with a better company because there are happier people working there. Anybody like Chick-fil-A? I love me some Chick-fil-A. Anyone ever seen an upset employee at Chick-fil-A? I haven't either. They love being there, and that's one of the big draws of going to Chick-fil-A, aside from the delicious chicken. And they're always nice. They're always happy to be there. They're well taken care of, and happy employees make happy customers. So that's what's in it for your customer. And then what's in it for the company? Fewer problems, less headaches, happier customers and employees, lower turnover, better profits. All this is there for you as long as you understand motivation. So when it comes to you going back to your team, these are some of the things I want you to think about: is what's in it for me? What's in it for them? What do I need to communicate to empower my people? Because if you can figure that out, that's cracking the code. And once you do that, you will be blown away at how your team takes off with great ideas that benefit you, them, the company, the customer, and ultimately the community and the world. That's the ultimate goal of continuous improvement. So consider your motivations when you are changing. All right, guys, we have 4 minutes left in our power hour, and we want to leave you with some key takeaways here. The first one is that our team has vast potential that is being wasted. So we need to understand that there is waste occurring when we are not engaging our people. And if we engage them, we will reduce waste and get all the benefits that come along with that. Brady, take the second one.
Yeah, most of our problems are due to bad processes, not bad people. So the people we have working for us, they want to do good work. They don't want to make mistakes. They don't want to screw up the product they're making. They want to do really well for the company and for themselves. And it's our processes that lead them down the road of failure.
People closest to the work typically have the best understanding for the real problem and can provide the best ideas and insights towards solutions. And we've heard some great examples already, and I can't tell you how many times just some really brilliant, elegant solutions, simple, not cost a lot of money or no money at all, just, kind of like the staple example, just some really brilliant solutions have come just by asking the question, what's bugging you and what would you do to fix it? It's as simple as that. And sometimes the greatest innovations happen.
And when we engage the whole person, not just their hands, we get better results. So when the team members feel cherished and that their opinions matter and that they are part of the process of making things better, when we engage all of them, their head, the heart, and their hands, they would, go to war for us. So we need to do that.
Yeah, and the last one is inspirational leaders empower their people by asking good questions. And, throughout the whole hour, the power hour, we've been talking about how, engaging people by asking questions are the key to finding out what's going on for those that are the subject matter experts in that process. And if we're not asking questions, then we're kind of dictating, right? We'll fix this and do that, right? And that's just demoralizing in many cases to those who really want to go fix the problems that are bugging them. So good questions, simple good questions are probably the most powerful thing a leader can do.
And in keeping with simple, powerful questions, we're going to leave you with a handful of questions just for you to reflect on yourself. This is for your own development as leaders. And I highly recommend you take the next 15 minutes after this call concludes and really ask yourself these questions and be honest, because real change happens with that candid appraisal, right? Where you really take personal inventory and say, how good am I at this? And by the way, we'll send this to you as a PDF so you can reflect on this when our meeting is over. But reflect on these questions. When there is a problem, what's my knee-jerk reaction? What do I do when somebody comes to me and tells me their problem? Do I blow up? Do I ask them questions? Do I shut my door? Do I say, I don't have time for that? What do you do? Are you the answer person or the question person? Are you always telling people what the answer is, or are you engaging them in a dialogue to help them discover the answer? How is your leadership empowered or diminished the genius of your team? Because it can only do one or the other. Your leadership will either empower or diminish, but there's no middle ground. So which slope are you going on? The downward slope or the upward slope? Which people in my organization do I need to unleash? And finally, how will I change my response to problems that arise? These are some of the most powerful questions you can ask as a leader. If you sit with these questions this week and you resolve next week to get better at any one of these, you will be better for your company. And as a result, your people will be empowered and engaged in new ways. So I highly recommend you reflect on these. Share them with us if you want. You can email us back and we can get those responses out. But these are for you guys. So everybody, that is the end of our webinar. We are up at our hour of power. I'm gonna conclude. I got a pitch because it wouldn't be me if I didn't have a 1-minute pitch at the end. And so I want to tell you really briefly about who we are. We are the HVAC Duct Manufacturers Alliance. We are a group of duct manufacturers around North America who want to get better at what they're already good at. And we do that through continuous improvement. And if you notice, this is continuous improvement. We got a little big U there. And what we've done is develop a system that works for duct builders. We've taken a lot of great ideas that are out there about continuous improvement. There's 101 ideas and 1,000,001 consultants. What we have done is through the process of testing over the last decade, we've found what works in duct shops, what doesn't work, and what are the 4 or 5 most important things to focus on. And we've packaged that up into what we call continuous improvement, because none of this works without all of us pulling together with a common mission and knowing where we're going. So through this model, everybody wins. We get better products out the door, shorter lead times for customers. We have a stronger bottom line in the company and better profitability. We allow for growth of the company and growth of individuals, and we create a better opportunity for our employees. The whole idea is we're going to revolutionize the way we build ductwork. We're going to say to our mechanical contractor customers, there's no reason why you should build ductwork. Buy it from us. We'll make it better. We'll make it cheaper. We'll make it on time, and we'll make you the happiest person on earth. And we do all of that through continuous improvement. So if that's something that's of interest to you guys, we encourage you to get in touch with us and keep coming to these webinars, keep learning more. We offer training, we offer one-on-one coaching, and we offer peer mastermind groups with groups of up to 5 companies who put their heads together to find the best ways to operate. If that's of interest to you, we're here and we're happy to help you get started. I'll leave you with this. Our next webinar is going to be in August. The topic is to be determined. So stay tuned to your emails. We'll be sending out some e-blasts about that. If you'd like to watch this or previous webinars, please visit our website, HVACDMA.com. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for spending this power hour with us. We appreciate your time. And hopefully this has been of value to you. And our encouragement to you is to reflect on those questions, take a good look under the hood of your own leadership, and understand how you can be better for your people. Brady, Dale, thank you for all your insights, for your time. Everyone else, thank you for being here. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you real soon. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
All right, thanks, guys.
Have a great day.